Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by a very special guest, none other than the Onion. Todd Bodine is joining us, of course. He announced his deal that he'll run 6 races for the Halmar Friesen team to get up to 800 starts. Really, really cool deal with Toyota and Camping World as a sponsor. And also, of course, he works for Fox Sports as well. How's it going there? Todd?
Going good. It's going good. It's been pretty neat to get all the messages from friends and fellow competitors or older competitors and the younger ones. It's pretty neat to see the outcome. Everybody pouring out their well wishes and all that. So it's a neat deal.
Yeah. So what made you want to do this?
Well, I didn't realize that I was that close to 800 until about this time 2 years ago. And, we thought, well, it'd be pretty cool to get to 800. And at the time, I didn't know how many guys had done it, but it seemed like a pretty neat number. And this time last year, we reached out to Marcus Lemonis, and he was interested in doing something, but we just couldn't get the deal together and had a team that I was going to do it with, and then they had to do some other things, so it just didn't work out. And we kind of put it in the back burner, didn't even think about it much more. And I don't know, about 3 months ago, I guess it was, Marcus put that tweet out. Team Onion fans, give me 800 reasons to sponsor them to get us 6 races, and I'll do it. Well, he had a few thousand reasons. Fans backed me up on it, and Marcus is a man of his word. And here we go. We're gonna go race 6 races.
Yeah, and you picked 6 interesting tracks to race at. Pocono, Sonoma, Nashville, just a few. I know you're gonna run Vegas as well. The other 2 are not popping into my head. But yeah, you got some cool tracks coming up.
Well, that all came about, of course, my real job is with Fox Sports, and I love the job, love what we're doing with the pre-race show, and I have a lot of fun. And, the first thing I had to do was okay all this with my boss, and she said, yeah, they're all in. And she talked to her bosses in LA, and they were all in. So the first thing we did is we looked at the schedule for next year, and she picked out 9 races that they would allow me to race. There's several that they wanted me on the show because it's either on Big Fox or it's one of the bigger races or whatever reason. So she picked out 9 races, and I picked from those 9. I got the 6. And, I think probably the main thing about picking the races I did is I know I've run well there. And a lot of them are because they were just fun places to go. And that's going to be one of the things that we're going to stress in this whole deal. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
When I quit in the middle of 13, I just quit racing. There was no fanfare. There was nothing to it. And it was kind of disheartening to go out that way, So these 6 races are going to be about almost like a farewell tour. Saying thank you to the fans and the competitors, and so we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. And Pocono is the last race, and it's as close as I could get to home. I was really hoping that they'd have Watkins Glen on the schedule because that is home for me.
Yeah,
but Pocono, I grew up there. I've been going there since like 1972. Watching my brothers race modifieds, and I changed tires for Brett on pit road before. I was on the pit crew, and then getting a race there. And so it's close to home, and my wife is from that area. So we're going to have a lot of people at that race. And we're actually going to have our golf tournament again. For 5 years there, we had the Onion Slice Open, right not far from the Speedway. Raised a lot of money for children's charities, and this year we're going to do it and do it again and raise some money for autism.
That's awesome. So kind of talking about that, you're going into, this is a very different, obviously, as you know, this has been a very different series since you last were racing in it. I know some of the guys are still there. Obviously, Matt Crafton was still there. Some other guys will be there as well. But overall, what you're going up against guys like John Nemechek, Zane Smith, a lot of guys, including Ben Rhodes, who just won the championship. So what's it going to be like to go back out there and race with a lot of, a lot of veterans that are out there, and also a lot of kids too?
Well, really, if you think about it, there's not going to be a lot of guys that I've raced against before. Crafton and Sauter, if he comes back, Norm Bennington, maybe Jennifer Joe. There's a couple, but most of them are young kids that I have not raced against. So it's going to be interesting for sure. And well, I tell you, after being a part of the series and doing what I do on Fox with a pre-race show and watching these guys every week, man, they're so good. These young guys they only know one thing, and that's wide open throttle all the time. So it's going to be interesting for sure. I think my first goal is to go out and be competitive, hopefully run in the top 10. And, if we got a good enough truck, to go up and try to win the race. But it's definitely going to be interesting. The trucks themselves, they're not very much different than they were before. A little bit more side force, a little more aerodynamics, but definitely less horsepower. So I'm going to have to get used to that and keep that momentum. These things are all about momentum, and that's one thing we're going to concentrate on. But I don't think, the one thing that's going to help me is having the practice, the 20-minute practice before the race. So that'll get me acclimated to that track and to the trucks every time we go out. So I think we're going to be just fine. I hope so.
Yeah, I think, we all hope so. We all want to see you do well. So there's been, obviously, as you know, putting on your analyst hat for a minute, there's been a lot of changes so far in the truck series, and a lot of big surprises that have been announced, and obviously more to come. But overall, what's going to be the biggest storyline as of right now, heading into the truck series? We got GMS is, with Grant Enfinger going over there. You got Zane going to front row. You got basically KBM, Chandler and John Hunter are back, and then Hattori with 2 trucks, and then BMR switching to Chevy.
Well, I mean, you hit them all. I think that the 2 big stories for me, the 2 things to watch, is definitely Grant and Zane. 2 of the best drivers we have in the series, and for Grant to go to GMS and be the number 1 driver, and to get everything that he needs to be successful, they're going to be tough. There's no doubt in my mind they are going to be strong. And I've told Grant that, and he's really excited about it. And Zane going over to front row, we saw Todd Gilliland last year and how fast they were before COTA, but especially after COTA, when they won at COTA. And after that, they just were top 10, top 5 all the time. Really should have been in our championship 4 if it wasn't for some bad luck. They would have been there. So for Zane to get into that kind of opportunity, I think he's going to be strong. And, they only have a 1-truck team, so all their focus is on that 1 truck. And I think that makes a big difference. So I think those 2 guys are going to be the biggest stories.
And also with that 38 team, that same pit crew is still there. Chris Lawson's still the crew chief, and that entire pit crew entire team is still the same from when Todd was there. So yeah. I talked to Jerry Freeze, and he's really excited about it. So those guys, I think FRM is going to have a big year with that.
Zane, I don't know if you watch our show much, but Zane's one of my boys. He's a great young man. First of all, he's a good kid. He's great personality, but boy, he can get it done behind the wheel. Last year was tough. They just couldn't hit the setup right for him, and to come up, get that walk-off win at Martinsville, to get in that championship 4, that was huge. And then he came up 1 spot short again. So we know he can do it, and it's definitely going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch a lot of these things happen so far. But Todd, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us, and we hope to see you on the track. I think Vegas is the first time you will first start for you. I think in early March. So it's gonna be fun to see you back out there.
Yeah, I can't wait. One thing I did is pick my good tracks. We'll go down through, and we got Vegas, Darlington,
yep,
Texas we've won 6 times.
Yeah.
Sonoma, I've run well in a Cup car there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's been a long time since the trucks have been there, but I've ran well in a Cup car. Nashville, we've won at, and Pocono, we've never won, but I've always run well, and that's home. So it's a good schedule for us.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this, man. Really, really.
No worries, man.